Hi friends, it's Amy at Doki Doki Forest, and today I am going to make a journal page using my Patreon rewards for this month. So this is a journal that I'm using to keep track of what my themes were and what digital rewards I had. So for July we had fabulous frogs, and these were the characters and the background that I created for that month. And for August 2023, we have the theme of Purrmaids. What is a Purrmaid? Well, it's a feline that lives in the water and has a mermaid tail. So we have our cat mermaids or Purrmaids. And here is the character sheet that I made. And then I have a background. So this month I created a digital background, or actually I made two. So the first one I created was this. I thought a nice coral reef for the Purrmaids to play in would be nice. And after I made it, I wasn't sure if the colors really went with these sort of all teal and aqua and lavender kind of colors. But I still am leaving it as a reward in case someone would like to use that. I did go and make a second background that's more kind of monotone, or it's more kind of just staying in that teal kind of zone. So you can pick whichever one you like. I'm going to be working with this one and some of these Purrmaids. I can't fit them all on this page, but of course you could print this smaller. So this printable is like regular letter size, 8.5 by 11, but you could print it smaller on your printer, and then that way you could fit more on this page. And same with this background, you could print this smaller so it would fit on whatever page size you're using, or you can have it be big and just cut out some of it or tear it and use some of it, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to be cutting out some of this today, I think. Last time I was tearing it. I am going to just kind of cut out some of this seaweed here, and I'll cut out this bubble for now. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. But yeah, I had a lot of fun working on these rewards this month. It gets the old creative juices flowing. And I'll just have to just trim a little bit off the bottom there to get this to fit. And then what I'd like to do is have another piece over here. I think I can fit this big one. I might just have to trim it. Let's give it a go and see what it looks like. So this I can fit as well, but I'd have to cut off the bottom there so I can decide if I'd rather trim that bit off there, or I could even trim that off there, which I think I'm going to do. I'm going to just kind of make this a little bit smaller, and I might still use this piece. I might stick that in there. And of course you don't even have to cut it. You could just print it smaller or leave it big and just glue it as is. But I'm just trying to show some different things that you could do if you wanted to. And I think I have to trim this coral a little bit, right? Because this is just a little bit too tall. Or I could trim the seaweed. So let me just try to go in here and trim off a bit, because I don't really need to have all that top. And if you do wind up becoming a patron and using these printables, I would love if you tagged me so I could check out what you've done with them and how they look on your page. Maybe I'll have that poking up, because for me, I kind of like things poking off the page. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to leave that like that, because I do enjoy having little bits and pieces of paper that go off the page. But if you don't like that, of course, trim off the bottom here, trim off the bottom here, or just maybe cut that a little closer there. So here we go. We'll get some glue on there and put that right on the page here. And I don't worry too much about if it's on there straight or perfect or anything like that. I just get it on as best as I can. And if it's not quite straight, that's fine. And you know, if you glue it on and you find that it's not quite on the page, it's hanging off a little bit, you could always just trim that a little bit. And I'm just putting it on this little book pamphlet to glue, so that way if any glue comes off, it comes off onto this pamphlet instead of onto my page. And I'm trying to get these edges pretty good because I find that with all of my journals, no matter what kind of glue I use, a lot of times those edges give me a tricky time. They don't want to stick. There we go. Oh, I got a little glue on top of the image. That's okay. All right, so now let's get some Purrmaids in there, and then I will just write my little bit up there. If I have space, I'll just write at least the theme, maybe a little bit more. Depends on what kind of space we have. Okay, so I've cut out some of the Purrmaids, and the first thing I want to do is put on, I made this little title. I thought that might be cute, just some little seaweed, and I'll put that right down at the bottom. And yeah, for August, I was just thinking of ocean creatures. I thought it would be fun if, you know, every month I try to come up with either a magical creature, or it could just be a creature in nature. Like last month was frogs, but I still made one of them a fairy frog, so they still had a touch of magic. And at some point, I would love to make a book or a series of postcards or something like that that would be like creatures of the Doki Doki Forest, and take you on a little tour of all the little magical beasties, or even some regular, you know, like I said, might be some regular beasties. There could just be like a sloth hanging out in there or something. But I would love to do that. So working on these rewards helps me get my creatures down on paper. And this one here that I created, I will show you in just a second, but I had you in mind and your journals in mind when I created this one. I made some little wavy lines, and so this Purrmaid looks like it's singing, and you can actually write on those lines. So I put that on there, and then we could write, let's see, how did I do it last month? I think I just wrote the month and then the theme, right? So we'll get two colors like I did. And then we'll write, and these are just my Mildliner markers that I really enjoy using, especially for titles in my journals, or squiggles. But you could use a small regular pen that's like smaller if you wanted to have more room, because the marker is obviously going to be wider. And I'm okay if you can't really read that. I'm going to go in with a pen and write in there. And also I have the title down there, but you could write a title for your journal page up there. Or you could have a song in here. So this little Purrmaid could be singing, and you could write lyrics to a favorite song. And then we have this little Purrmaid is gazing at a little magical seahorse that has a horn. So we will put this one at the bottom here. That's a good space. And it's not all Purrmaids. I have some fish on there you can add, and then I have some little rocks you can put in for details if you want. You can cut those out and use them, because I didn't want there to be a lot of blank space on the printable. So what I did was, if there was a space like that, I added like just some little rocks you could just put in the background, or you could write your title on there, maybe with a white gel pen. And let's see, we got some fish. So there's some little fishies you can add too. They don't seem to be afraid of the Purrmaids. And there's even a little Pugmaid. So a little puppy in there too. So let's have them swimming in. little Purrmaid. Looks very happy. And then we've got our little fish swimming by. And then I have this Purrmaid playing a harp. I was thinking of like the sirens and how they would sing. So this one has a harp, this one's singing, but I don't know if it's beautiful like the sirens. It might be more like caterwauling, right? So that would be something I would have to write about in my book, or even facts on like a postcard. If I made a postcard and wrote some facts on there, I'd have to talk about the singing and is it beautiful or is it terrible? Maybe it's terribly beautiful. Okay, so now that we have some Purrmaids, I didn't get to fit this pufferfish Purrmaid, who is a grumpy one. So this is a grumpy one. I didn't want them all to be smiling. I had to have at least one grump. I could squash it in there. Should I put that one in there? I feel like I should put that one in there. Maybe if I just trim it up a little bit here. So I can't just leave one out. And I didn't use, I think there was still one more fish I didn't use, but that's okay. Oh, sure. Let's stick this one in too. Let's just put everybody in here today. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, all it covers up is just a little bit of that seaweed, so that's fine. So here is the page, and there's still plenty of room. Got a little bit of glue on there. There's still plenty of room to write a little something there, especially if you have, I like to use this pen. It writes really nicely. This is another Uni-ball Signo, and this is a little black pen. I really like this one a lot. It's a 0.28. I don't know if you could see that before. 0.28. I'll put the link down below. But it writes nice and small, so you can really get into small spaces. Some of my other markers, the nib is a little bit larger, so it can be tricky to squeeze in. So like, see, I can write with the marker, and then I can go in with this little pen and help it to show up a little bit more. And then it's like the marker is a little bit of shadowing behind it. There we go. And now just write a little something. Okay, so now I've written in a little something, and then the next thing I could do is just take my marker, if I wanted to, and just add some little bubbles just floating up here and there, just to kind of pull the whole page together. And of course you could use the Purrmaids to just talk about a summer adventure or going to the beach or anything. Just doesn't even have to be beach related. It could just be anything at all. You could just throw some little Purrmaids on the page. There we go. I think that is pretty much done. I think I'm just going to add one blue bubble here and there, just to kind of have a little something different. I'll have some going off the page too. Okay, and that's it. We are all done. So this is my Patreon page in my journal, just to show you what you can receive this month on my Patreon. And I'll have that link down below. Thank you so much for being here, for stopping by today. always wonderful to hang out. I hope you have a delightful week, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye for now, from me and the Purrmaids and Pugsmaid.